Thank you so much for staying with us, and you're still watching Good Morning Nigeria right here on Cool TV, Star Times channel 196. And in the studio with us, we have somebody who's not a stranger to the family. That's the Cool Wazobia Info family, as well as the Cool TV family. And his name is Desmond Majekodumi, who is our resident environmentalist. Everybody calls on him when they want to discuss issues concerning the environment. Desmond, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Don't be deceived. He sounds really nice now, but once we get into this discussion, the fiery part of him will come out, the part that makes many people call him an environmental warrior. Now, we're going to be looking at the cleanup of OGONI land, and this is about 4 to 5 years after the United Nations Environment Program released that damning report, which said it would take about $1 billion and 30 years to clean up OGONI land here in Nigeria. Now, just recently, after President Buhari, after he was inaugurated, he pledged $10 million to get the project on its feet. So we want to find out what's happening, what are the next steps, and if this is the beginning of what we could see truly to be the cleanup of OGONI land. Desmond, you're welcome again.
Yeah.
Okay.
As you said,
you're breathing deeply.
As you said, you know, we want to say good morning, but when you see the kind of news that we've been seeing in relation to OGONI land, it's very hard to think good, really, because this thing has been going on for a long, long time. It's been going on for 50 years. The despoilation of the oil extraction area in Nigeria, OGONI, and it's not just OGONI, it's been going on for decades. And the report just came out in 2011, and it was a damning report. It said that this is the most oil-despoiled area on the planet Earth, that the oil extraction processes and the various leakages have caused so much damage.
You know, when we have these discussions, and I've had it with you on Green Hour on Nigeria, and for one of the questions I continue to ask, this has been going on for 50 years. Why has it taken us 50 years to get to the point where we're cleaning up? What have we been doing for 50 years? Is it simply greed that has brought us to this point in 50 years?
Very, very good question. And you wonder because, you know, we have a House of Representatives that is full of senators and full of reps, you know, and these people are receiving jumbo salaries. In fact, we know now that they receive far more than even the President of the United States of America, okay? Now, these jumbo salaries, this money is coming from somewhere, you know, and it's not coming from, you know, cactus. It's not coming from groundnuts or cocoa either. 90% of the money that these people are earning, their jumbo salaries,
it's coming from oil.
It's coming from oil. It's the
isn't
oil
that the
revenue.
irony of life, Desmond? Isn't that the irony? Because that is still the biggest revenue pot that we still have. Sadly, it is encroaching on what we are trying to divest to, which is agriculture. If it takes up the expanse of land, what are we left with? I mean, we're looking at from 1956, where we've started having oil spillages, and according to that same report, it was stated that it would take 30 years. 30
years to clean up this mess that's there, and the people are represented in the Houses of Representatives by these guys who are earning jumbo salaries, whose money comes from this area, and you're telling me they can't even represent the interests of the people in that area, the way supplying their huge salaries? What's going on? What's going on?
It's tricky because, I mean, if they come out with in full force and say, you know what, you guys are messing up the land, the Niger Delta land, which of course gets more of that when it goes to derivation and also oil producing as a state, it's tricky because it might seem to them that they will be cutting their, you know, the channel for their money. So I'm sure that's maybe why some of them are very reluctant
to
act.
Dear, it's a huge indictment on them because, you know, and I'll tell you the word that creates this indictment, and it tears my heart apart. This word is benzene. Now, benzene is a chemical that comes when you have oil, okay? And there's areas, there's a local government area called Eleme.
Yes.
Now, in that area, the concentration of benzene is 900 times above the normal level that the metabolism can tolerate. And guess what? Benzene is an established bona fide carcinogenic. Benzene creates cancer. It causes leukemia. And leukemia is a very difficult cancer because you don't even know that you have it for quite a long time. It tears apart, destroys your white blood cells, goes into the bone marrow, and your resistance starts to break down. And the concentration of benzene is not 9 times, not 90 times, 900 times. Basically, what has happened, those people in LMA, a good percentage of them have been condemned to slow death. And it's an even more benign death than what you would get from, you know, rat poison takes out the rat very quickly. Benzene toxicity could take years and years. Pregnant woman, we won't know. They'll be giving form. They'll be giving birth
it just reminds me of what happened to those that, the aftermath of Hiroshima. Some people had to live with those defects.
Similar thing. So, you know, meanwhile, meanwhile, these people, they have representatives.
Desmond, please, can you look at the screen and break your heart some more? As in, that is heartbreaking. That is condemning an expanse of land that people would be living in. And this is actually Eleme area.
And this is actually, of course, as you said, where the nation's 90% of the national revenue comes from. But Desmond, part of the things I'm curious about is we're hearing that it's going to be $1 billion and 30 years to clean up Ogoni land. But you made mention of people who are now living with medical issues, who generations down the line will live with medical issues. Are there things in place to treat them? You talked about people being condemned to a slow death. Are there things in place to at least ease that pain until they pass away? Aside from cleaning up the physical land, what palliatives are in place for the people who are suffering because of this?
Or is it just the bulk of money they're giving to the government to clean up the land?
Even the $1 billion is just for the first trench.
Yes.
The first trench of 5 years. That's what it's going to cost. You know, and it belies the question, you know, and it says, okay, you know, wouldn't it have been a lot cheaper to just prevent this from happening in the first place? Because as you rightly said, there's going to be another $1 billion just to give medical remediation to the people who are suffering from this. Because we're not going to just allow the good people of our country from the oil producing area to die like rats. Hey, guess what? There's another part of the world where they have a lot of oil, and it's a place called Texas in the United States of America. And believe you me, the Texans are not suffering at all.
They manage this situation.
We don't even need to talk about the state. Let's even go back to the BP oil spill. Because as I told you last week when we had the conversation on radio, the fishermen have been compensated who suffered when the spill came from that oil rig. They've been compensated. The people who live in that area have been compensated. BP has been forced to start paying money to these people. But BP is also one of those who had, because, you know, with the recent circumstances, people are coming and going out of the oil sector in Nigeria. But BP is one of those who's had hands or roots here. So let's talk about the international oil companies. What role are they playing in this cleanup now?
Well, to be honest, call a spade, Shell have actually agreed. They know that they have a certain amount of money to pay after the first tranche.
After a long battle.
After a huge long battle. After the first tranche of $10 million that this government, and, you know, thank God, at least the process has started. Yes. At least that tiny drop of 10 million is in the system, which will galvanize more money. And the oil companies and the various oil sector people who are involved have to come up with the rest of the money. Shell have agreed to do that, and some of the others have agreed to do that. Well, we're going to be watching them. And I hope that those wealthy representatives will be able to take a little bit of time out to also watch what's going on.
Well, that will be on the 29th of September when they resume. But you mentioned prevention, and I find that really difficult. I'm trying to, you know, create a middle ground, because this is where the bulk of our revenue comes from, and then this is what's kind of killing us now. It's killing the aquatic habitat, it's killing the people, it's killing, you know, everything that is good from the Niger Delta. But then how are we supposed to prevent this?
Well, it's a very, very crucial question. And again, I'm sorry, it comes back down to ensuring that we have the right people in governance. And I use that word right in a very, very emphatic way. If you check out the countries that we admire, if you check out, you know, we were just talking about the people of Texas enjoying the benefits of the oil wealth there. There is a common denominator in these countries, and that is the representatives in governance are generally chosen and guided by two basic principles, righteousness and justice. Now, I'm not saying that they're all saints, far from it. But because you've entrenched this into the system, and there's so much probity that if you come in as a leader, you have to start doing the right things straight away.
From the beginning.
Otherwise, the systems of justice will come down on you and take you out. Yes, and this is what we need to perpetrate and establish in our own country. Already we're seeing signs of it. I mean, we've seen a lot of, massive changes in the political terrain. This is, the beginning of that sort of process, but it can't just stop there. The process is a continuum. And if you see that your representatives are not adopting those basic principles that any civilized society will use to go forward, righteousness and justice, you take them out. We must have the right God-fearing people in government to prevent this from happening. A God-fearing person in the past would never have seen that. How can you say that you fear God and then you see people are being despoiled? As you said, you see their livelihood is being totally wiped out. And apart from that, it has global impacts as well. Because the Niger Delta wetlands is actually a very, very important environmental area. But
Desmond, there's still the issue of oil bunkering. I mean, it's not just oil spillage based on these multinational companies that come to, explore.
Yes, but what pushes the people to bunkering? If you have safety nets, come on,
if they're reaping from the oil that's being taken.
Yes, or even just enjoying their livelihood. Earlier on...
Can we defend the injustice here?
My dear, earlier on you saw... We're not trying to defend it. We're just trying to go down the path of, cause and effect. Okay. Earlier on you saw a picture of somebody casting a net. And in that area... Fish. Yes, I have a friend. He said when he went to school, on the way to school, he'd cast his net, catch a fish, and have that for school dinner. By the time he got home, cast the net again, a few more fish, going home to the village, pick up some cassava, boom, his food taken care of free of charge. That same environment is now carcinogenic. He can't even swim in there. So, he was happy, and his father and great-grandfather were happy. Oh, there it is, casted fresh, good fish. Happy, leading this wonderful lifestyle. And now it's been wiped out. He's seeing himself getting sick, seeing his children getting sick. Hey, how far or how hard do you have to push a man against the wall before he reacts? And on top of that, they're not even getting any of the benefits of the wealth. They're seeing pictures of the money, or they're doing all sorts of incredible things in far-flung places of the country.
I grew up in Warri. I went to FGC Warri, and when we used to travel from there through Eleme to Patani, through to my village, when we used to go there, we would see, the wide expanse of land.
Wow,
and then,
you see?
I feel really close to this story because then they would tell us we can't, and sometimes because the tanks run under the roads, they'll ask us not to take there because of the feasibility, how it can spark up fires. You will have to go around and take another road. So the challenge is not here.
Yes. And the worst thing to look like, when that thing catches fire, guess what happens? The whole surface now becomes almost like an iron sheet. Yeah, and
I saw that in the picture.
It traps the heat.
It's just everything,
and it's just solid. So how are you even going to remediate? Look, to be honest, let's be honest. Some of that land is destroyed forever. It's gone.
Maybe not necessarily forever, but in terms of human forever, that's it.
Centuries.
Yeah.
Some of it you will be able to restore through different methods, huge mechanical harvesting of the oil, and then they have some new type of chemicals that aren't really chemicals per se. Yeah. Well, no, they do have green sort of biological agents that will now activate a whole process of deterioration of the oil through natural means by bringing bacteria to feed. It's a whole big process.
An artificial way of getting the land back.
And in this case, that saying, is so effective. Prevention is better than cure. Certainly better.
Desmond, let me ask. So we know that as the president came into, after inauguration, he promised $10 million to get the project started. He has approved the compositions of the Governing Council and Board of Trustees of Hydrocarbon Pollution Restoration Project.
HYPREP, yes.
And they're mainly going to be working on the recommendations of the UNEP reports. Now, a statement from the State House said the contribution is a deposit of $10 million and will be made to stakeholders within 30 days of the appointment of members of the Board of Trustees, and that they will commence the cleanup in earnest with the President's inauguration of the HYPREP Governing Council and the Board of Trustees for the Trust Fund. So We've heard that they've pledged $10 million. What's the next step? What are we looking at over the course of the next 6 months into a year? And should we also be concerned if President Buhari is only to do one tenure, that's only 4 years? Should we be concerned about who might step into his shoes next and might even stall the project?
Oh, we should be very, very concerned. But the good news is that I heard very reliably that the setting up of this board, the whole process was very effective, very transparent. They had like a task force in there, and they were sitting from 7 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night, no messing around. And they have some people from the activist community. They got people from United Nations who have very, very strong position in the board. Yes, UNEP representative is there. So it's very, very encouraging. They at least got off to a very, very good start. And, you know, will the momentum continue? It better continue. Because you see, the power is now in the hands of the Nigerian people. And that's something we've got to realize and we've got to appreciate. We use that, I've said it before, we use that power to bring change. And if the change angels don't give us the kind of change that we want, then we can change again, you know. So it's encouraging, at least, hey, maybe it is a pretty good morning after all.
It is a good morning.
We started a process.
Desmond, I have to ask you, for us the people, I mean, for those living in these wetlands, what can they do to help this, you know, prevent this from happening?
Well, they have to really, really try to control themselves. I know it's going to be very, very difficult. Don't sabotage those pipelines, because the benefit you're getting is just a temporary benefit. Yeah. And, you know, definitely if you puncture a pipeline, you're going to pollute the area. Just try your best. And then shine your eye on your representative. Yes. Shine your eye. And if he's not representing you there, and believe you me, you know, this is where you can have, you know, justified confrontation in the House of Representatives. If you're now saying, hey, what's happening in that place is killing my people. What's happening in that place is pouring benzene into the atmosphere and it's going to give them cancer. You can be aggressive. You know, if they're going to throw punches in the House of Reps, it should be over something like that. yeah. And you duck anyway, you know. So they should hold their own representatives fully accountable. That what are you doing in the House of Representatives? Are you representing us? And if they're not, change them.
That is it. And I think that's a great note to end this discussion. Desmond will be on Green Hour on Nigeria Info 99.3 here in Lagos. If for some reason you're not attached to their TV and you are on the road, please tune in. This conversation continues. He'll be bringing in experts to discuss what is next, and especially one of them who is part of the cleanup crew, let's call them that, the cleanup crew that the president has put together. But he'll be joining us over the course of time as we watch this and other environmental issues here in Nigeria. Desmond, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to take a quick time out, but the timeout is news. We have the latest for you coming from the News Center. Victor is standing by to give you that.
So, did you like what you just saw? I know you did. It's very simple. If you want to see more, just subscribe to our channel right now.